Only 1 in 10 Americans save 15% or more of their income. But maybe that much isn't really necessary to retire comfortably. Folks, we set up spreadsheets on this channel, and I've set this one up for somebody that's saving. Let's say, for example, the household income is $60,000 a year. Now, if you went by their recommendation, you'd be doing 15% to 20%. 15% of somebody making $60,000 would be $750 a month, all the way up to $1,000 a month. And if you're like 90% of us, we can't afford to save that kind of money. But what if you save 10%? What if you just save $500 a month? Folks, what we do on this channel is run numbers for you, set up spreadsheets, and we look at what the S&P 500 has done for the last 100 years, including the depression years. We kind of like to look at what's worst case scenario that might go forward, and we simply project ahead what you might have and given similar returns in the future. So I went ahead and updated this for every single year from 1925. What would have happened with returns? And again, if those returns going forward, like anything like 1925, this is what you would have after each of these different time periods. So let's say, take for example, somebody's 32 years old, can save 10%, now 15 or 20, can save 10% of their income. And when numbers were anything like they were in the last 100 years, over the next 35 years, the worst case scenario, you'd have $1.86 million. I think you can see it right down in 1944, 1.86. The median in this column is 2.703. The most you're going to see is 6.265. Let's actually look at the actual breakdown here real quick. 100% of the time, you'd have over $1 million. 89% of the time, color-coded in blue, you'd have over $2 million. And 41% of the time, color-coded in gold, you'd have over $3 million. That's if you're 32 years and going to age 67, 35 years. Let's see the breakdown for a 30-year period. Obviously, you have 5 less years for it to compound, 5 less years to put in $500 a month. But in this case, 94% of the time, you'd still get to $1 million using the returns for the last 100 years. 34% of the time, color-coded in blue, you'd have over $2 million. And here's 6% of the time, you'd have over $3 million. I want to look at this a little bit differently. I've got another spreadsheet set up for you just to show us these numbers. Again, we got somebody that's $500 a month projected ahead. We want to look at somebody that's 32 years old, has 35 years until age 67. If he's making $60,000 a year, which is what we're running the 10% off of, that would be $5,000 a month. And we're just going to keep it at $5,000 a month, though most people think you're probably going to spend a little bit less in retirement. But let's just keep it at $5,000 a month. Now, 35 years from now, given a 3% inflation rate, what are you going to need to have the same buying power as $5,000 a month? You're going to need $14,069 a month to have the same kind of buying power. But folks, I want you to know what compound interest can do for you. These columns right here, column D is the worst case scenario you could possibly have in the last 40 years. And we're going to go down here to age 30, year 35. Right there. Worst case scenario, 1.86 million. We saw the same thing right here for the 35-year period. Let me get my mouse to work here. 1.86 million. The median is 2.703. We see the same numbers here. Worst case scenario, 1.86. The median, 2.703. The highest is 6.265. This is the worst 5% of the time. You'd have 1.942. The worst 10% of the time, 2 million, and so on. But I want you to notice that in the worst case scenario, when you start withdrawing this $14,000 a month, you would not run out of money. And we're increasing that $14,000 a month by 3% a year, giving yourself a COLA. And yet with in the worst case scenario, 1.86 million, you would not run out of money. This kind of shows you how long your money will last. Given the worst case scenario last 100 years, it lasts over 40 years. Worst 5% of the time, worst 10%, and so on. But look at this. The worst case scenario, you do not run out of money. Let's start changing some of these things. Let's go ahead and I'm going to go back up here to, how about $450 a month? Still okay. Again, we're looking at the worst case scenario, how long your money would last. How about $350? $300. Now, between $350 and $300, if you put in $300 a month, which would only be like 6% of what you're making, your money would run out in the worst case scenario in 15 years. But Again, folks, what are we looking at? We're looking at people saying you got to save at least 15% or more of their income. We're showing you right here, even with the data from the worst case scenario, saving just $300 a month, you'd only have problems. Your money would last at least 15 years, but 350, it lasts all the way through over 40 years. That's that difference between 300 and 350. Isn't that incredible? Folks, what have we not taken into account? We have not taken into account Social Security. So let's say, for example, you just have 30 years. Again, we're trying to show you that you don't need to save 15% to be able to retire comfortably for what you're used to. If you're used to 5,000 a month coming in this case, you could take 5,000 out and your money, your nest egg would cover you. What happens if you're age 37 and only have 37 years, or only have 30 years until age 67? Now we got a situation where you're running out of money. Let's go back to the $500 a month because that's what we're planning on. In this case, worst case scenario, you're running out of money in 14 years. The worst 5% of the last 100 years, you're running out of money in 16 years. 90% of the time, you'd have at least money lasting 20 years and so on. If you had the median, you have over 40 years. But folks, that's not even taking into account Social Security. What happens if you're just getting, let's just say you're getting $1,500 a month in Social Security when you reach age 67. Now look at that, over 40 years, every one of those scenarios. Again, we're looking at saving 14 or 10% on somebody making $60,000 a year. So again, don't get discouraged if you're not one of those 1 in 10 that's saving 15%. If you're part of the rest of us, 90% of us that couldn't save 15%, even saving 10%. Let's do one more thing. Let's go ahead and change this to $400 a month. Okay, now in the worst case scenario with $1,500 coming from Social Security, in the worst case scenario, you're running out of money in 18 years. Again, because you don't have quite as long for this to accumulate. That's what you really like to see, compounding of being get up to, we saw that at 35 years. You'll see 35 years, you could save a lot less and still be okay because of this 1,500 and because of, this money's compounding. Watch what happens over 40 years. Watch what, that's a $400 a month. How about 350? 350, you're still okay. 300. 300, you're still okay, folks. That's 6% of somebody making 6,000 or 60,000 a year. Don't forget to take into account Social Security. 250 is where it's probably going to change. Yeah, here in this case. What else could we do? What if we stick with the $500 a month and you want to retire a little bit earlier? Again, we're looking at the worst case scenario. I really like to look at this column because that means 90% of the time you'd be successful. As long as this is over 40 years, you're not going to run out of money 90% of the time. But let's change. Let's keep the $500 a month. Let's keep the 35 years till retirement. How about taking it at age 66? Still okay. Age 65? Still okay. Age 64? Still okay. Age 63? Look at that, folks. Even at age 62, because you've got 35 years until you reach retirement. Something's not right. Oh no, 30 years until you reach 30 years for this to compound because you're getting 1,500 from Social Security. You do not run out of money. Even using the worst case scenario in the last 100 years, you do not run out of money. Now, obviously, if you don't have Social Security taken into account, then you're running out of money really fast because you've only got 30 years for this to accumulate from age 32 to 62. As you can see, if you're going to age, even normal retirement age of 65, and you're getting any kind of Social Security, you're going to be in just fine shape. You don't even have to save near 10%. This is 6%. If we go again, put the Social Security back in there, we're kind of low on the Social Security. Most people get, the average is 1,900. But right here you can see, well, let's make it 1,900. Saving $300 a month instead of $500 a month. Then your money lasts over 40 years in every one of these scenarios except the worst case scenario, your money's out in 26 years. But that's only saving 6%. Don't forget to take into account Social Security, folks. But we just wanted to run the numbers so you don't get discouraged when you, well, I can't begin to save 15%. We saw saving as little as 6%. You'd be okay if you take into account your Social Security. And even if you don't, if you saved $500 a month, you would be okay. Take this out. If you have 35 years until retirement, right here. Oh, even age 65, you're okay with $500 a month. I just noticed that right there. Even worst case scenario, retiring at 65 instead of 67. You get less from Social Security, but still you would not run out of money using the numbers for the last 100 years in the worst case scenario. Again, Don't let these kind of numbers freak you out. You don't need to save that kind of money. Obviously, if you can save more than 10%, but we're just running it at 10% and showing you the numbers. They work in every case, especially when you have time on your side. If you got more than 30 years till you retire, saving 10% of your salary, and that's not even taking into account Social Security. But folks, that's what we do in this channel. We set up spreadsheets, run all kinds of different numbers, and kind of going against some of the uh, news that's out there that you need to do stuff like this. So you got to be saving 15% or you're going to have a sad retirement. That is not the case. Please tell your friends about this channel. Please check to make sure you've been subscribed, because I'm losing subscribers one way or another. Everybody's been saying that on YouTube. Please share this with your friends. Let them know about this channel that will run all kinds of different numbers and show you all these different financial concepts. But set up spreadsheets that'll show you how all these work. And please share and please like the video, and thanks for watching.